Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, February 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Patchy fog this morning. Clouds all day. The high 39. Tonight and overnight, clouds hang around, low 36. And then Friday, could see some pop-up showers throughout the day, high 38. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 34 cloudy in Mount Kisco up in Westchester County, 36 and cloudy in Middletown over in New Jersey, and it's 35 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Some pretty frightening moments in the air over Newark last night. Are we about to go to war with Iran? Mayor Mamdani's tax plan may be dead on arrival. A Long Island man who shot his sister with a crossbow says it was just a joke. NYPD cops detail how they saved a bald eagle stuck on the ice in the Hudson. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Flights at Newark will be delayed this morning, all because last night, one jet, a JetBlue flight that was on its way from Newark to West Palm, had engine failure. About 15 minutes into the flight, they immediately returned to the airport. Here's what it sounded like in the air traffic control tower.
We got smoke in the back. We're going to have to be evacuating here in a second. On the alert 2 is landing runway 4 right, an Airbus 320. Smoke in the cockpit, heard a loud bang from engine number 1. I do not have souls and fuel.
And some of the passengers on that flight talking to Eyewitness News last night say they heard that loud bang. They saw a flash by the wing. They thought maybe the plane had been struck by lightning.
It was just like a singular bang. I thought, did we just get hit by lightning? Maybe a minute later, the pilot came on and gave an announcement saying, I heard a pop in the engine. We're going to turn around. We're going back to Newark. We'll be landing in about 10 minutes.
And then back in the cockpit, they were talking back and forth with air traffic control, saying, we're turning around. We're coming in for landing.
Yeah, we're going to exit the runway and just have the fire rescue make sure the engine, number 1 engine is okay.
JetBlue 543, Roger, exits on POP is 3.
Yeah, so after the plane landed, the crew reported smoke in the cockpit, and then they put out those slides and evacuated passengers. And the same woman who spoke to Eyewitness News last night said it was a little chaotic once they landed.
There's fire trucks and emergency crews all around the plane, and eventually somebody came on the announcement system and said something to the effect of seatbelts off, get off the plane, at which point everybody stampeded towards the exits. It was not the prettiest sight of humanity. There was no real informing that you will be getting off on a slide. There was just running to the exit and seeing a slide there. And the flight attendants were telling everybody, go, get out, get down the slide, get down the slide.
So the good news is there were no injuries reported last night. Flight operations were suspended for about an hour while the aircraft was removed from the taxiway. The airport reopened. Flight operations resumed. It was about 7 o'clock last night, but now you're going to have some residual delays this morning. It's not terrible, by the way, but just if you're heading out to the airport or going out there this morning to catch a flight or meet someone at a flight, definitely check before you walk out the door. alternate side parking rules are resuming today after it's almost a month. For weeks, we all got a break on having to move cars because the Big Apple was a frozen tundra and snow removal was the top priority. Then alternate side of the street parking was suspended this week. It was Monday for President's Day, Tuesday Lunar New Year, and then yesterday for Ash Wednesday. So now it goes back into effect today. A lot of people will forget because they've gotten so used to not having to move the car. Trash and recycling pickup, they are behind schedule, but the city telling us they expect to catch up by tomorrow. 5:04. A U.S. military buildup underway in the Middle East has been for a number of days for possible strikes on Iran. NBC News reporting earlier this morning that the buildup includes warships, air defenses, submarines, in case President Trump decides on a military strike. Now, a senior administration official said last night that no final decisions had been made of possible military action in Iran and that they're still waiting on a written response from Iran addressing a disagreement the U.S. has with Tehran over their nuclear program. Now, this is all coming out of those talks earlier this week with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and those Iranian officials in Geneva. They asked for some specific proposal. They haven't go into details exactly what it is, but the administration is awaiting this paperwork from the Iranians, and the U.S. is demanding that they give up its nuclear program. Iran has refused to do so, and they deny that they're trying to develop a nuclear weapon. But there's this paperwork that they're asking for, and so far it has not been handed over. So a number of outlets reporting last night that the president has not made a decision, but one outlet saying that they may strike as early as this weekend. 5:05, let's bring it back home. New Yorkers reacting to Mayor Mamdani's 9.5% property tax proposal. The mayor says the city needs the money to fund his $127 billion budget unless Governor Hochul agrees to raise money by taxing millionaires and wealthy corporations, which she said she won't do. Of course, she's running for governor. She's not going to raise taxes in a year as she's running for governor. New Yorkers, what do they think about Mayor Mamdani, this socialist, asking for more money from New Yorkers?
I'm a fan of Mamdani. I voted for him. I know why he's doing it. I'm just hoping that it doesn't come to pass.
Have to hear about who it affects, because if it's going to affect people who own $400,000 apartment versus somebody who owns an $11 million apartment, that's a big difference. So
the mayor has for weeks been saying New York is facing a budget gap. Originally, he said it was $12 billion before finding $5 billion in the budget. Now he says it's $7 billion. Several city lawmakers have railed against the proposed tax hike, which would be the first in more than 20 years.
I'm sure that we're missing some money. I'm also sure that he can find it somewhere, too. Every other mayor's done it. We pay some of the highest taxes in the country, and I don't want to pay any more taxes.
This is, I think, one of the concerns when we did vote for Mamdani, that he wouldn't have the greatest experience in this situation.
I think it'll come down to creative accounting, cutting programs, doing everything else that other mayors have done, short of raising taxes.
Okay, so if he doesn't get that millionaire's tax, he has to rely, he says, on this property tax. But the city council members, a good number of them said there's no way they're going to vote for it. And City Council Speaker Julie Menin, she was on with Sid, on Sid and Friends in the Morning yesterday, saying just that.
To be clear, for the city council, we are the last stop on property taxes. And to be clear, that is not something that is up for discussion. We made very clear yesterday that any kind of property tax raise is off the table. Okay,
I did a deep dive on this, and it was Mayor Bloomberg back in 2002 who raised property taxes by 18%. And if you want to see how that worked out, head over to WABCRadio.com. I detail how that worked out if New Yorkers left and if the city made money on that tax plan. So check that article out, WABCRadio.com. WABC News Time 509. New York City moving closer to a rent freeze with Mayor Mamdani's appointments yesterday to the Rent Guidelines Board. It's an independent 9-member panel, but Mamdani has now stacked the deck. 6 new appointees who share his housing vision and will vote on his proposal come June.
I continue to believe that this city's more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants deserve a rent freeze. We cannot respond to a crisis by simply rotating who suffers from it.
The mayor promised a rent freeze while he was campaigning for mayor last year.
The RGB is an independent board, and they will consider all of the evidence.
Yeah, so in making these appointments, the mayor says the new members will move the city closer to what he says is a fairer, more affordable New York. 5:10, the new Archbishop of New York, Ronald Hicks, had one of his first big moments at St. Patrick's Cathedral yesterday, marking Ash Wednesday.
Embrace something that you yourself can either do or give up that is going to help you in your own spiritual life to keep God in the center of your lives.
Hicks is talking about the fact that you, of course, have to make some sort of sacrifice during Lent. He says that you do that to draw closer to God.
We fill our lives, our center, with so many things. If we can fill that center with God's goodness, with God's hope, with God's peace, with God's mercy, that's my message for all.
Yeah, they were working fast yesterday. Long lines when I passed there yesterday. 5:11, 8 skiers who were missing after an avalanche have been found dead in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. The Nevada County Sheriff says one skier does remain missing near Lake Tahoe.
We did have a conversation with the families of the folks that are still outstanding and let them know that our mission went from a rescue to a recovery.
15 people were impacted by this avalanche. 6 were rescued. It took search and rescue teams hours to reach the survivors who were all suffering from various injuries, transport them to safety due to the extreme weather conditions, which, by the way, continue today. The sheriff there saying weather conditions hampered these recovery efforts, will hamper them as they go in.
Please understand that this incident remains ongoing. Our focus remains on recovering. But the snow and the unsure conditions are creating an issue to making sure that we can safely do that.
We are committed to being here until the end and making sure we make all these recoveries.
So there's one person still missing. A former ski patroller says that a backcountry guide needs to know when to leave and is calling out these guides who stayed there right up until this avalanche took place.
There's always an element of danger, but there's a call to be made. And as the guide, you make that call.
So more snow falling in the Sierra as we speak. 5:12, Ohio billionaire Les Wexner has been deposed about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Members of the House committee looking into the FBI Epstein investigation were in Ohio yesterday for a closed-door deposition with the former chief of Victoria's Secret.
There would be no Epstein Island. There'd be no Epstein plane. There'd be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner.
The 88-year-old released a statement, though, before questioning began, saying he welcomed the opportunity to set the record straight and what he called outrageous, untrue statements, hurtful rumors, innuendo, and speculation. There was all these Democratic Congress members who were trying to blame the president for protecting the wealthy. You had California Congressman Dave Min said this shouldn't be a political party issue.
It is very frustrating the fact that there are no Republicans here today. I wish there were Republicans because sex trafficking should not be a D versus R issue.
5:13, the White House is keeping the affordability issue on the front burner. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt telling reporters Wednesday that the 2026 will be a prosperous time for Americans.
The January jobs report shattered expectations, highlighting how the president's pro-growth economic agenda is fueling American prosperity.
She cited several recent economic reports showing the U.S. economy continues to be on the upswing.
Most importantly, 100% of all job creation under President Trump continues to be in the private sector. This is truly remarkable. Despite all of the doom casting from the so-called experts, the president has managed to utilize powerful tariffs to secure trillions of dollars in investments into our country and rebalance our trade deals while simultaneously cooling inflation.
The president, he'll travel to Georgia today to talk more about his economic agenda. Down to Texas, where Democrats feeling kind of confident as the midterms come closer. They say they're all all in for the midterms in hopes of winning a statewide race for the first time it would be in 30 years.
We have a Democrat in every state and federal office in Texas for the first time since 1974.
That's the party chair who says they're planning to spend about $30 million on resources for candidates across the state as soon as the primary is over. One candidate who won't need help is State Representative James Tallarico, who's running for the Senate. He raised $2.5 million in the 24 hours after he was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert this week.
No gaps. It's a new day in the Texas Democratic Party.
Yeah, and over in California, while we're talking politics, conservative political commentator Steve Hilton surging ahead in the race for California governor.
That is according to a new survey of 1,000 likely voters released by Emerson College Polling and Inside California Politics. Hilton is polling ahead with 17% of respondents supporting him. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, another Republican, are tied for second place, each with the support of 14% of likely voters. In early December, Bianco had a 1-point lead over Hilton and Swalwell. Campaign finance reports show Hilton took in about $4.1 million in donations in the second half of last year. I'm Daniel Martindale.
All right, in a moment, we'll tell you how Facebook Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg took the stand testifying in a landmark trial in Los Angeles yesterday. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Now Quinn Hughes. We played 3.5 minutes in overtime. Quinn Hughes shoots. He scores! He scores! Quinn Hughes in overtime wins it. And the United States will move on and face Slovakia in the semis.
Come on, Noam. Get that air guitar out.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. A little Freebird action, baby.
That was the most stressful 3 minutes I've had in a long time.
Oh, my God.
What an exciting game.
They pulled the goalie last 2 minutes of the third period, and I'm sitting there sweating. And I texted everybody. I text all my buddies. I'm like, this is going to be the longest 2 minutes ever. 5 seconds later, Zibanejad ties the game. And we're going overtime, 3-on-3. And that 3-on-3 overtime is...
it's great. I mean, it is great to watch. So much fun.
I held my breath the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like every chance they have is an absolute great scoring chance. And finally, after putting like 3 shots in the belly of the goalie for Team Sweden, you had Quinn Hughes racket around the pipes in overtime to put the U.S. past Sweden 2-1. In overtime, I should say. After Canada did its part earlier, albeit with a roller coaster of drama and emotion, the U.S. bounced back from Zibanejad scoring to keep alive the possibility of the North American rivals meeting in the gold medal game on Sunday. Goaltender Connor Hellebuyck stopped 28 of the 29 shots he faced. The U.S. will face Slovakia in the semifinal on Friday. Just before that, also unbeaten, Canada plays Finland in the other. Our puck
When
drop.
would be if we make it to the gold medal, is that this weekend?
Yeah, that would be Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So the puck drop Friday, I believe, is a 3:10 p.m. puck drop.
Perfect.
Oh,
that's
my God,
getting
right?
better for us. Are you kidding?
Take the load off, get out of here. Oh,
that's
my God.
great.
You kick your feet up, go find a bar stool somewhere. Oh, this is going to be a beautiful Friday, isn't it? I'm looking forward to it. 1:10 p.m. this afternoon, though, you got to tune in for the women's ice hockey team. They're going for gold against Team Canada. They already beat Team Canada earlier in the prelims, 5-0. So we'll try and do the same this afternoon and capture 1/2 of the ice hockey gold medals out in Milan for the women. We're rooting for them this afternoon. Country medal results as of this morning: United States still in third place, 24 total medals, 7 of which are gold. Italy in second, 26 total medals. Norway in first, 15 gold, 33 total medals. Head to a little bit of hardwood action last night in college ball. 17th ranked St. John's, they beat Marquette 76-70, and the NBA returns tonight. The Nets are at the Cavaliers, and the Knicks, they will welcome in the Detroit Pistons. And a little development here in your Tony Clark situation in the MLB. The MLBPA unanimously elected Bruce Meyer as its new executive director last night, replacing Tony Clark the day after he resigned amid that scandal less than a year before the expiration of MLB's collective bargaining agreement. So I guess we can get back to the negotiating table. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:20. 2 tax credits could delay your refunds this year.
Early filers may have to wait a little longer than they planned if they claimed the Earned Income Tax Credit or the Additional Child Tax Credit. According to H&R Block, the IRS did not release refunds until after February 15th, as it gave the agency time to stop payment release of any false filings. The delayed distribution is part of the 2015 Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes Act, and the IRS advises checking the Where's My Refund tool in mid to late February for a personalized refund date. I'm Matt Mattinson.
Facebook Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg off the stand after testifying in a landmark trial in Los Angeles yesterday involving social media addiction and kids. The Meta CEO had appeared before Congress about his platforms, but this marked the first time he testified in an actual jury trial. A woman suing TikTok, YouTube, and Meta, which owns Instagram and Facebook, claiming she became addicted to the sites as a kid and has experienced anxiety and depression into adulthood. This is what it sounded like as Zuckerberg left the courthouse yesterday.
Mark, are you excited for your testimony? Mr. Zuckerberg, did Meta purposely design the platform to harm children?
Yeah, he didn't answer questions. Zuckerberg grilled about internal documents showing millions of young kids are using his platforms and about emails allegedly saying the company enticed tweens into becoming customers. Now, Snapchat and TikTok previously settled this case out of court. The verdict could impact the outcome of about 1,600 other pending social media addiction cases across the country. 522. President Trump honoring Black History Month yesterday.
Black History Month is really all about American history.
During a reception at the White House yesterday afternoon, the president acknowledged the black members of his administration, including Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Scott Turner. The president then issuing a proclamation recognizing Black History Month on February 13th. He also honored the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, the civil rights icon who died on Tuesday at 84. And the president said he has done a lot for black Americans.
And since I took office, African American employment has increased by 182,000. Nearly 500,000 black Americans have rejoined the labor force since we took office. 500,000 wages for workers have increased $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000, and even sometimes in some cases $5,000 a year.
523, let's go out to Los Angeles. Crystal Hefner, the widow of Playboy magazine mogul Hugh Hefner, filing 2 complaints against her late husband's foundation. Hefner says this is not about images that appeared in magazines.
My focus is on how Hugh Hefner's personal scrapbooks chronicle private moments that took place behind closed doors.
Hefner says the foundation is in possession of thousands of scrapbooks that contain lewd photos of women and possibly underage girls. High-profile attorney Gloria Allred is representing Hefner. She says it's unclear how the foundation came into possession of the photos after Hugh Hefner died back in 2017.
Beginning in the 1960s, and may include images of girls who were underage at the time and could not consent to how their images would be retained or controlled.
And Crystal Hefner says there's about 3,000 scrapbooks containing images of thousands of females taken before, during, and after sexual encounters. 524, the White House says President Trump will respond now that the governor of Maryland has asked for help with this historical wastewater spill into the Potomac River. Here's White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
It's no secret.
Oh, let's get her name right. Caroline Leavitt.
It's no secret that Maryland's water and infrastructure have been in dire need of repair.
And President Trump has blamed Democratic leaders for the mess. He's already directed federal authorities to assist in recovery efforts. Officials say well over 240 million gallons of raw sewage has been released into the river.
Their infrastructure has received a nearly failing grade in the 2025 report card from the American Society of Civil Engineers. This is the same grade they've received 5 years earlier. It will be an ecological and environmental disaster if the federal government does not step in to help. But of course, we need the state and local jurisdictions to make that formal request.
And there was a back and forth about whether people could fish okay in the Potomac. Initially, they said yes. Now they're telling people probably not a good idea. 525, the prosecution and the defense requesting a delay in the start of the Palisades fire arson trial in California.
Both sides are asking a federal judge in Los Angeles to postpone postponed the start of the trial to June. Jonathan Rinderknecht was initially supposed to go on trial last December before the start was pushed to this April. In new court filings, the defense says it needs more time to prepare, with about 5 terabytes of investigative material provided by the government to review, investigate, and analyze. Rinderknecht is facing 3 federal criminal charges. He is accused of starting the much smaller Lackman fire on January 1st, 2025, which turned into the deadly Palisades fire on January 7th. I'm Daniel Martindale.
526, let's go down to Texas, where the number of farmers is shrinking as kids turn down the chance to take over the family business. This is happening all over the country, by the way, but highlighted in Texas yesterday.
You know, I've been hearing it for a very long time as a rural girl who grew up in a ranching family. It does break my heart.
That's Land Commissioner Dawn Buckingham. She's launched this plan now to get more young people interested in farming. That way, Texas farms, she says, won't have to be sold to international conglomerates.
Be sure that we keep our food independence, because that's just as important as energy independence. It's important to grow our own food here. It's important to harvest our own energy here.
Last year, nationwide, 315 farms filed for bankruptcy. That's up nearly 50% from the year before. A video of alleged hazing at the University of Iowa garnering millions of views on social media.
At least one person was arrested in connection with the incident that happened back in late 2024, but the charges were dropped. The video, which now has more than 20 million views on X, shows dozens of male pledges in a dirty basement with their shirts off and some in blindfolds. The incident was investigated when a fire alarm went off in the house and emergency crews responded. The university suspended the Alpha Delta Phi fraternity until at least July the 1st, 2029. I'm Mark Mayfield.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, February 19th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Patchy fog this morning. Clouds all day, the high 39. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 36, and then Friday could see some pop-up showers, high 38. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 34 cloudy in Mount Kisco up in Westchester County, 36 and cloudy in Middletown over in New Jersey, and it's 35 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540, Mayor Mamdani trying to find sources of cash to fund the budget that he announced earlier this week. One way he said they could fund it is with that millionaire's tax, but the governor and state legislature would have to sign off on that, and there's no sign that will. His other idea is raising property taxes here in the city, which we'd have to get through the city council. City Council Speaker Julie Menon was on with Sid and Friends in the Morning yesterday, and she said there's no way that's going to happen. So he keeps searching for money, and one of the places he sees cuts that he could make is at the NYPD.
Mamdani's predecessor, Mayor Eric Adams, proposed at the end of his term that the city gradually hire 5,000 more NYPD officers. However, upon entering office, Mamdani moved to cancel all orders signed by Adams following his September 26, 2024 indictment, including the proposed NYPD personnel increase.
It is a crisis that we can and will overcome. But we cannot do so without either significant structural changes in Albany or painful decisions of last resort here at home.
Mamdani's budget caps the number close to its current level of around 35,000 officers. I'm Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
Now, the last mayor to raise property taxes was Mayor Bloomberg 23 years ago. I go into detail how that affected the city and whether people left in an article that I've written over at WABCRadio.com. And while we're talking about the mayor, he attended a groundbreaking at a former police department parking lot in East Harlem yesterday for what will be a new 20-story affordable housing building that will include nearly 100 apartments for formerly homeless and more than 240 additional affordable units. It's the type of project the mayor has focused on to solve the city's housing shortage. They want to identify these city-owned buildings and build buildings there over the next 10 years.
There is a new consensus in this city really about the importance of building more housing, about the importance of also intertwining the agendas of affordability and the arts.
Now, this project would be on East 119th Street, or it will be, and it'll be dubbed, or it'll be the new home, I should say, of the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance. I guess in the lobby, the rest of it will be apartments for, affordable apartments for New Yorkers. It'll be handed over to people, or well, I shouldn't say handed over, they'll pay for them, but the affordable homes will be for people making between $30,000 and $130,000 a year.
Each person will be supported by a rental subsidy and by an on-site services team dedicated to helping them stay housed.
And that's one of the people who will be involved in the project. One neighbor in this neighborhood said the reason that some people oppose this project is because of crime they are worried that could come in, but other neighbors disagree, acknowledging it may be a bit of a struggle, but they think it's the right thing to do.
There's a lot of people that are homeless, and they need a place to stay. I mean, we're all humans.
Yeah, and the building expected to open to new residents come 2028. Meanwhile, the mayor reversing course on one of his policy decisions.
Mayor Mamdani is reportedly bringing back homeless encampment sweeps, something that was done under Mayor Eric Adams, but then stopped under Mamdani on day one of his administration. As following just under 20 deaths related to cold weather, Mamdani was criticized for that policy, ending the encampment sweeps. City Hall sources telling the New York Post the priority now is to have outreach workers try to connect homeless people living in the camps to city services before the camps are taken apart. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:43. This amazing rescue on the Hudson. We're getting the details of it, of a bald eagle by an NYPD harbor unit. It happened on Tuesday. They saw this bald eagle trapped on the ice, bleeding from its wings. So 4 NYPD harbor unit officers were aboard a boat Tuesday to conduct a training exercise when they spotted this majestic bird.
He said, why don't we turn around and make sure that's an actual bald eagle? We didn't think we'd get close to it. It looked cold and wet. It was screeching loudly. We were within, 10, 20 feet of it.
As we got closer, we thought it would take off. It never took off.
Yeah, so they decided to come up with a plan to see if they could rescue it. So first they reached out to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for permission to try and save the bird. And then they did a little bit of research of what they should do to trap the bird. And then the 4 officers jumped into action.
It was impressive and kind of scary at the same time, being that close to a bald eagle.
You want to approach gently so you don't cause a lot of water displacement, because it could have knocked the bird off the ice that it was on.
We looked it up and it said, try to cover its head. It keeps the stress down. And once we did that, it really didn't give us a hard time. I think it kind of knew that we were trying to help it.
Yeah, they rescued the bird. Let's mention the officer's name: Nicholas Martin, Officer Mike Russo, Sergeant Mike Amello, and Officer Patrick Memmi. They were the 4 involved in this rescue, and they said it was amazing. Once they were able to get the bird and put it into a cage, they just saw how beautiful this bald eagle was.
It's an impressive creature, even in its state. We were kind of taken back by how big it is and just the way it is and the beauty of it.
To rescue an eagle, it's pretty cool.
It's an American bald eagle. It's like a day or two after President's Day, so it made me feel pretty patriotic, and I just wanted to see him get well.
Yeah, great job done by those officers. Now, we've been told the bird taken to a sanctuary in New Jersey for treatment, where they said the bird is in very serious condition. 5:45. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Olympic hockey, men's ice hockey out in Milan. Quinn Hughes played the hero for Team USA, scoring in overtime to put the U.S. past Sweden 2-1 after New York Ranger Mika Zibanejad scored to tie it late in regulation. After Canada did its part earlier, albeit with a roller coaster of drama and emotion against Czechia, the U.S. bounced back from Zibanejad scoring to keep alive the possibility of the North American rivals meeting in the gold medal game come Sunday. Goaltender Connor Hellebuyck stopped 28 of the 29 shots he faced. The U.S. will face Slovakia in one semifinal Friday, 3:10 p.m. puck drop there. Just before that, also unbeaten Canada plays Finland in the other semifinal.
Now, is that Olympic overtime with the 3-on-3, which I thought was incredibly exciting?
Yeah.
Do they do that anywhere else, or is that just in the Olympics?
No, just in the Olympics. Yeah. No, they do it in the NHL, don't they?
NHL.
Yeah,
they do.
They do it in the NHL.
I am not a huge hockey fan, but I am like...
They do it in the regular season, yeah.
I've been watching these Olympic Games. They're so exciting.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to watch NHL hockey then.
Well, you got all this space, and then every chance you get is a scoring chance, pretty much.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Boy, but I was watching with one of my kids. We were like jumping all over the living room.
I had to stand up.
Yeah.
I totally had to stand up. Nerve-wracking, but they got it done. U.S. women's ice hockey, they'll play for the gold today, this afternoon, 1:10 p.m. against Canada. They already beat Canada 5-0 in the prelims. So we'll try and do it again. Take home that gold medal. They've been unstoppable. Country medal results as of this morning. USA, 24 total, 7 gold. Italy in second, 26 total, 9 gold. And Norway in first, 33 total, 15 gold. A little hardwood action last night collegiately. Your final from Milwaukee, St. John's beating Marquette 76-70 in the NBA returns tonight. Nets are out in Cleveland against the Cavaliers, and the Knicks still host the Detroit Pistons. That is your sports. Noah, man, I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. We've been following this breaking news out of the UK. The man formerly known as Prince Andrew has been arrested this morning over suspicions of misconduct in public office following accusations that he shared confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein while he was serving as the British trade envoy. This all coming from the BBC, reporting that a bunch of cars showed up outside of his home early this morning. They arrested a man. The police put out a statement saying they arrested a man in his 60s. They didn't identify who he was, but it's the BBC who's saying it is the former Prince Andrew arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public and carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk, which apparently are former homes of Prince Andrew. Of course, as more information comes in on what is a huge arrest, no longer the prince, of course, it's King Charles' brother. We will pass that on to you. 5:50, over to New Jersey. There is a state of emergency in Phillipsburg after 2 sinkholes have opened up in recent days. One of them swallowed a dump truck yesterday. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but this truck was all the way in this huge sinkhole. There's no timeline for repair for when this work might be done to fix what's wrong. Several homes are in jeopardy now. The mayor says the dump truck was swallowed up by a second sinkhole to open in 2 days right at Summit Avenue and Lewis Street.
When we brought one of the dump trucks in, one of our contractors came in with a dump truck. It actually broke through a separate portion of the roadway, and that exposed more issues.
Yeah, several homes in the Warren County town are in jeopardy. Sidewalks apparently sagging, buckling in this town. The town's state of emergency that they declared enables it to speed up assistance to try to get the situation under control as soon as possible. Ground-penetrating radar reveals more underground voids have inched closer to nearby sidewalks and home. 7 homes have been deemed unsafe. Underground power lines, water mains have been compromised. For a while, about 100 homes lost power, but we're told they have it back. And geologists say areas with limestone bedrock are particularly prone to sinkholes. And apparently that's a lot of this town in Phillipsburg. Now, neighbors who own homes, you can imagine they're just totally freaked out. They're wondering if their home is going to fall into a sinkhole. Thank God that has not happened just yet, but they want answers from the town.
It looked crazy, man. Like, it's something unheard of.
This was all flush. But if you look now, you can see it's all cracked up. So I don't know if it's moving here, if that shifted us down here. We don't know. I mean, you're talking about who knows? How far is it going to go? Is it going to come all the way down here?
And the mayor there readily admits he doesn't know how far it's going to go, but he's bringing in experts, state officials to help with the effort there. 5:53. While we're in New Jersey, down in Trenton, some state lawmakers looking to keep the lights on at classic diners across the state, and they're putting out a lifeline as diners have been closing as of late, a number of them. A bill introduced in the Senate would give those diners a helping hand from from the state establishing this $25,000 tax credit annually to save diners, which is, New Jersey's known for its diners. Here's one of the lawmakers in Trenton working on this.
This would apply for diners and family restaurants that have been in existence for at least 25 years. Everyone has a memory of either going to a diner with friends late at night after a night on the town, or maybe with family after church on Sunday.
Yeah, so this proposed bill now making its way to the Senate committee. Lawmakers working on it hope to have it passed by the end of the year. 5:54, we're learning more now about the death of character actor Pete Green back in December.
The New York City medical examiner says Green accidentally shot himself in the left armpit, rupturing a major artery that caused the actor to bleed out. The 60-year-old Montclair, New Jersey native was found in his Lower East Side apartment December 12th. Green played Zed in Pulp Fiction, was the bad guy opposite Jim Carrey in The Mask, and played another bad guy in The Usual Suspects, among his many roles. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
5:54, let's go out to Long Island. Domestic violence cases have risen sharply on Long Island recent years. Senator Chuck Schumer says the system needs to change. So yesterday he was standing with survivors and advocates in Hauppauge announcing Virginia's bill, a bill that would eliminate federal statute of limitation deadlines for civil lawsuits filed by survivors of domestic violence, sex abuse, and trafficking. Now, currently, federal law gives adult survivors 10 years to file civil claims. Survivors abused as minors can file until 10 years after turning 18. The senator argues with those limits, it allows abusers to avoid accountability and fails to reflect the long path that many survivors have to take before they're ready to come forward with their cases. Here's one of those abuse survivors. Her name, we won't give her name, but here's one of the abuse survivors.
It feels like being abused twice. Once by the person who hurt you, and again by the system that tells you your pain has an expiration date.
Now, Virginia's law is named for Virginia Giuffre. She was one of Jeffrey Epstein's earliest accusers and a longtime advocate for strengthening protections for survivors. Here's the senator.
Epstein depended on silence. Epstein depended on fear. He depended on a system that all too often protect those in power instead of average people, instead of victims.
Yeah, police logged 10,000 domestic violence reports in 2023 on Long Island. That's up from 7,000 in 2019.
It gives survivors the opportunity to heal on their own, to decide when they're ready. And when they're ready, this law sends a clear message to them that the law will be here for them.
Legislation just getting started, though, would need bipartisan support to make it through Congress and to President Trump's desk. And we'll end with a story we've been telling you about all week. This 21-year-old Lawrence, Long Island man who's accused of shooting a crossbow at his sister. He appeared briefly in court yesterday morning. The arrow sideswiped her face. I mean, it split her ear in half. And court records say Sammy Sedum was upset at his sister because she kept turning the heat up when he wanted the heat down in the home, and that's why he lay in wait to shoot her with this crossbow. Well, he was in court yesterday. Here is DA Ann Donnelly, who's prosecuting this case.
It's horrific what he did to his sister. I mean, I don't know how bad the scarring is going to be, but her face looks just an open, giant wound.
Now, Sedum's attorney says this case is essentially about a prank that went horribly wrong, that he was just playing a joke on his sister.
The case is essentially about a prank that went horribly wrong.
I just said that.
My client intended to scare his sister and never intended to hurt her in any way. The family, including the victim in this case, who is the sister, does not believe he ever intended to hurt her.
But court records show that Sammy made some admission to authorities that he planned on getting rid of his sister right after Christmas 2025. Here's more from his lawyer, who says he has mental health problems.
He absolutely suffers from an undiagnosed mental health condition, in my opinion, and that will come out later.
Yeah, set him due back in court on March 17th.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.